The bar sat off a two-lane highway in western Pennsylvania, a place truckers and bikers used to bleed the road from their bones. Neon buzzed, glasses clinked, and a jukebox chewed through old rock anthems. The waitress moved fast between tables, ponytail swinging, smile practiced. Her name tag read Lena. She'd learned to keep her eyes level and her voice steady, especially on bike nights. Most men tipped well. A few pushed limits. She kept working, counting minutes, thinking about rent, the shift ending, and the quiet apartment waiting. The biker who caused it all was loud even before he spoke. Leather vest patched with skulls, beard braided with metal beads, laughter like gravel. He drank whiskey neat and slapped the bar for attention. When Lena passed, he grabbed her wrist. She pulled free, calm but firm, telling him she'd bring his change. The bar laughed like it always did when someone tested the line. He stood, blocking her path, mocking her accent, her patience, the way she carried herself like a soldier at ease. He tugged at her shirt as a joke, or so he thought. The fabric tore with a sound that sliced the music clean in half. For a heartbeat, the bar froze between laughter and shock. Beneath the ripped cotton wasn't skin meant for gawking. It was a faded compression top stretched over scars, thin white lines crossing her collarbone, a puckered mark just below her shoulder, a small inked emblem near her ribs. The biker's grin collapsed. The room inhaled, then went utterly silent. Lena didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stood very still, eyes steady, breathing slow. The bartender reached for a towel, but she waved him off. She lifted her chin and spoke, voice clear enough to carry. "Hands off," she said. "That's your warning." The biker stared, recognizing something he hadn't expected: discipline, history, a weight that wasn't hers alone. Someone at the end of the bar whispered a curse. Another man set his glass down carefully, like noise itself might offend. The biker tried to laugh it away, muttering about jokes gone wrong. But his voice cracked. He'd seen scars before, plenty of them, but these told a story he couldn't outrun. The emblem inked near her ribs was small and precise, crossed keys over a shield, the kind you didn't get at a mall. He'd worn something similar once, years back, before bad choices and worse luck. "Where'd you get that?" he asked, softer now, confusion edging out bravado. Lena met his gaze. "In uniform," she said. "Overseas." She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. The silence deepened, heavy with understanding. The biker swallowed. He remembered dust storms and radio static, remembered friends whose names were stitched into flags. He remembered ripping shirts off buddies to pack wounds, the smell of iron and cordite. The bar, a moment ago a theater for cruelty, had become a chapel for things unsaid. The owner appeared from the back, jaw tight, eyes sharp. "You're done here," he told the biker. No shouting. No drama. The kind of authority that didn't need raising. The biker nodded, backing away, hands open. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a roll of bills, and placed it on the bar. "For the damage," he said, voice low. Then, after a pause, "I'm sorry." It wasn't redemption. It was acknowledgement. Lena took the towel then, draping it over her shoulder. The bartender poured her a glass of water without asking. She drank, hands steady now that the moment had passed. A woman at a nearby table stood and offered her jacket. Lena smiled and accepted, slipping it on with a practiced motion. The jukebox clicked back to life, but the song felt wrong, too loud, too careless. Conversations restarted in murmurs, people choosing words like fragile glass. Later, during a lull, a man with silver at his temples approached the bar. He wore no patches, just a plain flannel and a posture that hinted at long discipline. "Ma'am," he said gently. "I saw the emblem." He didn't ask questions. He didn't pry. He set a challenge coin on the counter, old and worn. "For your service," he added. Lena closed her fingers around it, eyes shining just enough to betray the armor. She went back to work, slower now, more deliberate. Tips appeared larger, apologies whispered where jokes used to be. The bar felt different, as if the walls themselves had learned something. Near closing time, the biker returned, not inside, but to the door. He stood there awkwardly, hat in hand. The owner stepped out to block him, but Lena shook her head. She approached, keeping the door between them. "Say it," she said. "I crossed a line," the biker said. "I won't again." He looked at the floor. "Anywhere." Lena nodded once. "Then we're done," she replied. No forgiveness offered, no debt collected. Accountability, clean and final. He left without another word. The night air swallowed him, engines humming somewhere beyond the lot. Inside, the bar exhaled. When the shift ended, Lena changed in the back, careful with the torn shirt, folding it neatly. The scars on her body were maps she'd learned to read without flinching. They weren't secrets, but they weren't invitations either. She stepped outside under a sky scattered with stars, the highway whispering its endless promise. The challenge coin felt warm in her pocket, heavy with memory and pride. Weeks later, the bar gained a reputation. Not for fights or wild nights, but for respect. Bike nights became quieter, tips better, jokes kinder. People said something had happened there, something that reminded everyone what lines were for. Lena kept working, saving, planning. On her last night before moving west, the owner handed her an envelope. Inside was more than her final paycheck. "You changed the place," he said simply. Lena smiled, a small, real smile. She took one last look at the bar, the neon, the long counter worn smooth by 1,000 stories. Then she walked out, jacket zipped, shoulders squared, carrying her past without letting it drag her. Somewhere down the road waited a new beginning, one built not on silence or fear, but on the strength to stand still when the world expected you to break.